Early this month, Carolyn Jackson and James Pierce will be sworn in as the newest members of the Edina City Council. They succeed retiring council members Mary Brindle and Mike Fischer, who were thanked for their service, which spanned more than a decade each. Edina TV has more on these dedicated public servants.
Let's go.
Recently, City Manager Scott Neal made special deliveries to 2 retiring council members.
Nobody leaves anything in Edina without getting a cake.
Mike Fischer had served on the council for 4 years, and Mary Brindle had served for 12 years.
And we got this wonderful Edina polar fleece blanket for you.
Oh, thank you, thank you.
Shortly thereafter, we sat down with each of them to hear about their experiences and to learn about their unique approaches to leading the city of Edina.
The parade sponsors.
I was approached while I was working on the 4th of July parade. You know, you ought to really think about a run. And I just sort of, I don't know, maybe someday I will. But in order to do that, I really need to prepare myself. Because, as I told them, I wouldn't vote for me. I don't know enough. So in that, I really did dig in and learn and get to know the staff, the city staff, and develop relationships with people who could help me, really, and find out how I can then help them in a leadership role. And then it just sort of naturally happened in 2008.
You know, I've been on so many committees, and, basically, I moved here in the year 2000, and I think I probably spent 18 of those 20 years on some committee. I knew in 4th grade that I was going to be an architect because architects design cities. And I didn't realize until I became an architect that it was really lawyers and zoning administrators and others that were designing cities, and architects were just coming late to the game.
What areas were you most involved in?
My committees have really been transportation-based. So the I-494 Corridor Commission, the Noise Oversight Committee for the airport. How are we going to incorporate transit? Those committees, all of them, I think, have helped me grow as a council member. You learn about how other cities lead and what's important to other cities. And if it's important to St. Louis Park, it's important to Edina. If it's important to Eden Prairie, it's important to Edina. And the reverse is true.
I knew the comp plan was coming up, and I know where we are in our life cycle as a city. And it's a lot of challenge and stress for people as we go through this change. So I figured this was the time that made sense for me to be on the council, if I could help in some way.
Councilmember Brindle. Here. Councilmember Fischer.
Here. When asked what guided their decision-making process, both of them said their parents were a huge influence.
I actually thanked my parents because the notion is that you always put other people's needs ahead of your own was a very important part of growing up. And I think it translated pretty well for me into my adult life, in that being a public servant, being in this kind of role, you're there, your job is to literally look out for the whole, look out for what I would call the common good. And that's always driven me.
Another part of my upbringing that I think contributes to how I look at things is I'm a musician. My father was a musician, and he was my first teacher. And he might have been my best teacher, though I didn't know it at the time, of course. As a musician, I'm not a solo musician. I'm an ensemble musician. And it is the product of the group that you cannot achieve by yourself. So it is that understanding, that connection, and that almost unconscious link that you have with those around you to make something happen.
We also asked, what were they most proud of?
I'm proud of the comprehensive plan process. Our planning commission did a phenomenal job. So many meetings, so much involvement. We had every commissioner in our city, not just planning commission, but every commission was involved in writing a chapter of that plan. So I'm very proud of the way we all came together and got that done.
I'll point to one thing in the community that people can look at and admire, and I had a part in, and that is the Edina Canine Memorial that is right here at City Hall. It's a lovely bronze statue of a German Shepherd on duty with his badge. And I'm really proud of it. It's lovely, and it memorializes the importance of Edina's police canines.
Admittedly, neither one is fully retiring, but now they'll have more personal time.
You know, when Ralph says, Mary, can we take off for 4 or 5 days? The answer is probably going to be sure. And so we do love to snowshoe up in the Arrowhead. And I have some crafty projects going. We've got a flat-coated retriever named Hondo, and he is the joy of our lives.
My youngest son is still in college and he plays baseball. And he plays it in the southeastern part of the country. So it was a little challenging. You know, we would fly down there and watch a weekend baseball series and then fly back so I could be at a council meeting on Tuesday night. This next couple years, I'm thinking, hey, maybe we don't have to fly back.
All of us in Edina thank Mary and Mike for their years of service and wish them well.
Thanks.
For Agenda, I'm Tom Cornell.
Thank you for your years of service, Mary and Mike.